Thank you very much for joining us once again. Today's seminar is about NFTs, or in simple terms, a non-fungible token, which probably means very little to most people. So I'd like to start off with this particular definition here shared by Investopedia. Remember, all web links that are shared in these seminars can be found in a Word document that will be shared with you as part of you being able to access this content. And remember, if you have any questions at any stage or elements within the seminar are not making sense, please feel free to pause the video, send us an email with the time that you've paused the video where the question is occurring, and obviously ask your question away, and you need to send those questions to goldsealacademy@gmail.com. Thank you very much. Anyway, so what is a non-fungible token, or as many people are talking about this new three-letter word, NFTs? Well, according to Investopedia, a non-fungible token is a cryptographic asset on a blockchain with a unique identification code and metadata that distinguishes that from each other. So I imagine most of you are even more confused with loads of these techno-babble words. However, let's make this very simple to understand. NFTs are not like cryptocurrencies. So there is only one NFT ever created, and that's why it holds and retains value. Okay, so unlike cryptocurrencies, they cannot be traded or exchanged at equivalency. This difference from fungible tokens like cryptocurrencies, which are identical to each other, therefore can serve as a medium for commercial transactions. So cryptocurrencies are like coins, and they hold a certain value, whereas NFTs are elements like digital artwork or other items, which we're going to see at the minute, where there's just one of one. So just like Picasso made one of certain picture and there's only one Picasso, there's lots of reprints. It's like owning an original Picasso, just more in the digital world. Okay, so I'm just keeping this as a simple definition for everyone to understand here, which is, it says NFTs are unique cryptographic tokens that exist on the blockchain and cannot be replicated. We're going to understand what that means in a second using some videos, but a simple way to explain it: a cryptographic token means someone has encoded a token to be unhackable, and it's been placed on a blockchain, which sounds complicated, but in this extremely safe place that has constant recording to prove whether anyone is trying to tamper with it in any way, and it cannot be replicated, so you can't make fakes of them. Yeah. The cool thing about NFTs, and this is why we want to help you learn as much as possible, is that they can also represent real world items like artwork, real estate, music, and other creative outputs, visuals, videos, etc. So we're going to try and help you understand as much as possible on how you can attach an NFT to something creative during the seminar today. Okay, so by tokenizing through an NFT, these real world tangible assets, remember, if we've looked at any of the other seminars to do with business, assets are something physical that retain value. In this case here, they're digital rather than physical, and retaining value, and can make buying, selling, and trading them more efficient while reducing the probability of fraud. So you could come up with a really cool digital piece of artwork, create an NFT that's attached to that artwork. The artwork is then purchased, the quality and detail is perfect, and there's only one of those. You can sell reprints and reissues, but the original owner will retain the NFT, and that could grow in value from the point where it's and initially sold to one person, let's say for £10, and a year later it's worth £100. NFTs can also function to represent individuals' identity, property, rights, and more. So at the minute, we're also at the birth phase of what NFTs can be used for. In the future, we at Gold Seal Project believe NFTs will be used for many different things, like ownerships of cars, houses being bought and sold, all sorts of other helpful aspects like this. But rather than complicate it, let's use this very simple 3-minute long video that will help explain exactly what an NFT is and how you can use it and make money from understanding the use of an NFT. Okay?
Fungible means that something cannot be exchanged for another item because it is unique. For instance, one piece of art is not equal to another. Both have unique properties. Fungible items, on the other hand, can be exchanged for one another. For instance, $1 or Bitcoin is always equal to another. Okay, but what is an NFT? NFTs are tokens that live on a blockchain and represent ownership of unique items. Why is that helpful? Well, tracking who owns a digital file is strict.
Now, if you're still confused about what a blockchain is, a blockchain is like this uncheatable receipt. So it records everything, every movement that's ever made in whatever way or format is recorded. So it's a very helpful tool to protect and always show how people were trying to interact with that NFT.
Tricky because it can be copied and distributed effortlessly. So, how can you prove who's the original owner when everyone has an identical copy of the file? NFTs solve this problem. Imagine that you made a piece of digital art, essentially a JPEG on your computer. You can create or mint an NFT out of this. The NFT that represents your art contains a bit of information about it, such as a unique fingerprint of the file, a token name, and a symbol. This token is then stored onto a blockchain, and you, the artist, become the owner. Now you can sell that token by creating a transaction on the blockchain. The blockchain makes sure that this information can never be tampered with. It also allows you to track who is the current owner of a token and for how much it has been sold in the past. It's important to note that the artwork itself is not stored within the NFT or the blockchain. Only its attributes, such as the fingerprint or hash of the file, a token name and symbol, and optionally a link to a file hosted on IPFS. More about that in this video here. Now here's where NFTs become weird. When you buy an NFT that represents artwork, you don't get a physical copy of it. Heck, most of the time everyone can download a copy for free. The NFT only represents ownership, and that is recorded in a blockchain so nobody can tamper with it. Some say that NFTs give you digital bragging rights. And to make it even weirder, while the token owner owns the original artwork, the creator of the NFT retains the copyright and the reproduction rights.
We want to pick up on this really quickly, and this is why we're such a big promoter of NFT currently at Gold Seal Project. So typically artists and creatives have made stuff, sold it at initial price, and then things have grown in value more and more over time. So, you know, if you were an artist, like graffiti artist like Banksy, let's say, and you create your first piece and you sell that piece for 500, often the artist gets no more than the original sale at 500. And then as it's resold, the new owners make all the money and the artist never gets anything when they are the person that created the thing that grows in value in the first place. So the reason we like NFTs is because you retain the copyright and the reproduction rights. Now, these could be sold separately using other NFTs, okay? However, if this was initially bought, like I say, if a picture is bought as a NFT originally, let's say for £500, and 5 years later it sells for £5,000, you can also set within your NFT's parameters to retain 20% of that resale value. So as it's sold again to someone who's making money because it's grown in value, you, the original creator, also get money at the second sale, the third sale, the fourth sale, as it continues to be sold and grow in value. So again, we think most artists should be paying attention to this, and most creatives should. And in general, it is good to understand how NFTs work, because like we say, we see so much potential for this being used in the future. Houses being bought and sold, valuable cars, collector's items, all of these things can be done with NFT. And if you're clever with how you do it, and you're an original creator as part of that NFT in the first place, there's a chance you're going to keep getting money from that as it's sold in the future as well too. Okay.
So an artist can sell his original artwork as an NFT, but he can still sell prints. Now, aside from digital art, NFTs can also be used to sell concert tickets, domain names, rare in-game items, real estate, and basically anything that is unique and needs proof of ownership. For example, the founder of Twitter sold his first tweet as an NFT. Anyone can see that tweet on his profile, but now only one person can own it, and that person paid over $2.9 million for it. I could even make an NFT out of this video. You could then buy it and be the owner of this video, even though it is free to watch for everyone. Now, why are some NFTs worth millions? Well, their worth is determined by what people are willing to pay for it. If I'm willing to pay $100 for a particular NFT, then it's worth $100. Prices are driven by demand, so be careful. An expensive NFT becomes worthless if nobody wants to buy it. Okay, one more thing before we end. How do they work technically? NFTs are essentially smart contracts that live on a blockchain. In this
Okay, this is where it's going to get wordy again. Smart contract seems really intimidating than just hearing the word contract, but these days all this means is someone has set up a smart function like you have a smart TV or a smart device, okay, and this will figure out how to create an exchange between two people and some sort of output that would give you a legal, helpful foothold if there was any problems or you needed to go to court about this, okay? So what you're about to see now is actually quite a helpful function.
In this case, the contract stores the unique properties of the item and keeps track of current and previous owners. An NFT can even be programmed to give royalties to the creator every time it exchanges hands.
So hopefully this helps prove my point I was just sharing a minute ago, yeah?
So there you have it, NFTs explained in under 4 minutes. I hope you found this interesting.
Like I say, all of the web links will be shared. Now, we keep hearing about this, and I want to go into this, in a little bit more depth now. So if we look at Wikipedia's definition for a non-fungible token, they've got a really interesting section here about copyright. For anyone that's not understanding what copyright is already, this is the rights that are reserved for the person that did the original copy, hence why it's called a copyright, okay? I just want to cover what Wikipedia is sharing here. So it says ownership of an NFT does not inherently grant copyright or intellectual property rights to the digital asset or NFT. Okay, some may sell an NFT that represents their work, but the buyer will not necessarily receive copyright to that work. So the seller may create additional NFTs of the same work. So this is where you could sell an original and still be selling reprints. Okay, if you're not familiar what a reprint is, typically when you buy artwork, you will buy an original picture, but then they will do something called reprints where they just print onto pieces of paper and you can take a picture of the artwork with you, but it is not the original that was created the first time. Well, if we take this into the digital world, you can't really have an original digital because digital is there to be accessed all the time. So when an NFT comes in, as they're saying here, all you're doing is buying the rights to the image and how that could be bought and resold in the future. Okay, whereas the reprint aspect is still owned by the original creator. So again, if you're into kind of cool or quirky artwork, and in a second you're going to see we can do some really cool stuff. There's loads of people out there that do 8-bit artwork these days, so like quite grainy and pixelated looking pictures. You know, if you've ever been into anything like that, or you've just seen it and thought that's cool, hopefully the rest of this seminar is going to kind of awaken you to some of that. We're also going to recommend you check out our seminar number 10, which is how to use a smart device to make creative media, okay? Because a lot of what you're creating with that could then have an NFT attached to it too, okay? So it says here again, an NFT is merely proof of ownership, okay, and is separate from copyright. According to a legal scholar, Rebecca Tushnet, okay, who in this case here is the first professor of the amendment law at Harvard, quite relevant for America. In one sense, the purchaser acquires whatever the art world thinks that they have acquired. They definitely do not own the copyright and the underlying work to. So it's really, really important to understand this. Just because you've created something doesn't mean you're giving away the creative rights for the future. And as the video said at the end, you know, at the point of resale, you can also set values for that so that you're always getting paid as this is continued to be sold for more value in the future. Okay. Now, if you're not into visuals, as in reading so much, and you aren't necessarily working from the video that well, this article here from The Verge is really helpful. There's lots of really helpful hyperlinks in here where you can go and learn stuff. But the other cool part is if you click play on here too, it will read the whole of the page for you here, okay? And there's a really cool video in the middle of this part which will explain to you this is now a $13 billion industry.
At this point, you've probably heard about NFTs. And if you haven't, you've been living under a rock. In the past year alone, they've become a cultural phenomenon.
And I want to give one to everyone in the audience.
Everyone gets an NFT?
Yes, everyone.
Everyone gets an NFT?
Some people hate them. Others think they're going to be the future of everything. But no matter where you fall on this divide, there's a lot to unpack here, including a booming $13 billion marketplace that's trying to become the Amazon of NFTs. But first, let's get on the same page about what an NFT actually is. Essentially, an NFT is a one-of-a-kind digital file, like these here Bored Apes. But it could also be a photo or a song.
Largely, they are digital files stored somewhere on the internet.
Mitchell Clark is a news writer at The Verge, and he wrote The Verge's NFT Explainer. He helped me, who, until a few weeks ago, knew little to nothing about NFTs, grasp the subject a little bit better.
Most of what people think of as an NFT are actually the digital files, not what the NFT actually is. So the NFT is the record on the blockchain that stores the information about that digital file, who created it, who linked it to the blockchain, and then who bought it and who has owned it throughout its history. And that is what the actual NFT is.
Those transactions are noted on the blockchain, which is
So now we're starting to hear lots of wordy other stuff. And again, I want to let you guys have a look at some of these resources a little bit more in your spare time, okay? So like I say, if you prefer reading, the reason I wanted to play this video briefly was to make you aware that this is also a $13 billion marketplace. So for anyone that's not understanding what that means too, that means so far people have spent 13 billion buying and selling and increasing the value of an NFT. Okay, so lots of helpful information about that. We're going to start hearing similar things, and we've got some other really helpful kind of videos here that I'm going to keep going through. So hopefully some of this is going to be a little bit repetitive now, but also help you to understand further areas which aren't illustrated in some of the first videos. So we're just going to take in the next couple of videos, then I'm going to start showing you how to actually go about creating them, places that allow you to buy and sell them, as well as the process for different types of NFTs. So music NFTs versus artwork NFTs versus property NFTs, etc., etc.